Welcome back, listeners. This is Mike's third letter from Thailand, and the last one from this part of his journey. After what happened in Ayutthaya and Chiang Mai, Mike was ready to leave Thailand behind. He thought the strange things were over. He was wrong. This is day 9. This is the third letter. I'm writing it on a plane somewhere over the water. I almost did not make this flight. That is what the 9 days did to me. I want to get the order of it down while I can still follow it. The mark on my wrist has not changed since the morning, and that is what I am afraid of. The 9 days started in a tattoo shop in Chiang Mai. The shop was in a lane off the old city, a converted shop house with framed photographs in the window arms, backs, chests, all covered in Yant. The smell hit me at the door: incense, oil, and something metal, like a knife kept too long in a drawer. The ajarn was a thin man with glasses. An old woman sat on a stool in the corner and did not move when I came in. I asked for the 5-line Yant, the protection one. On my upper arm, he asked where I was coming from. I said Ayutthaya. He asked what I had brought with me. I said I did not understand. He looked at the bag on the floor beside my chair, a quick look down and back, and he said it did not matter. And he began. The needle was long with a wooden handle. He chanted while he worked, low from the chest, and the needle kept time with the words. It hurt in a way that was new to me, sharper, more personal, like being written on. Blood came up in small beads and he wiped them away with a cloth. The old woman watched me the whole time. I could not tell what she was watching. It took an hour. When he finished, he gave me the mirror, and the 5 lines were black and clean on my arm, and I thought it was the best thing I had ever paid for. He gave me rules: 7 days. No alcohol. No one touches it. You do not show it to strangers. The ink keeps its part. You keep yours. I thought it was theater. That night on the hostel roof, a man bored around and put a beer in my hand. I remembered the rule, but I drank. It was 1 beer, then 2. That was the last time I was happy in Thailand. The next morning, the second line from the top was longer. I had photographed the tattoo the night before because it was new. I held the phone against my arm and compared them. The line went further down in the morning photo. Not a lot. A little, but further. The skin over the ink was warm. The skin around it was not. I put my thumb on one and then on the other, back and forth, and I did not know what I was checking for. I walked the old city all day, checking the arm whenever I could. It was warm every time. I bought a long-sleeved shirt that afternoon, telling myself it was for the sun. The real reason was the tattoo. By the 3rd morning, the line was longer again. I could see it without the photo now, and that was worse. At the bottom of the design, a small curl had appeared under the skin. Part of the design now, as if it had been drawn there in the night. I went back to the shop. The old woman was not there. She had been there the first time, on her stool, and she was not there now. I have thought about that more than I like. The ajarn was alone, cleaning a needle. He looked at my arm and his hand stopped. He said it was losing its hold. Something on me had been counting. It wanted what it was owed. I asked what that meant. He asked if I had drunk. I said yes. 2 beers. He nodded, the way you nod when someone tells you the thing you already knew. He did not say anything about the beers. He did not have to. He cut a length of white cotton thread and wound it twice around my wrist, over the pulse, and tied it. 9 days, he said. Do not take it off. Do not come back here. I reached for my wallet. He put his hand up, palm out, and shook his head. He would not take my money. I understood that was worse than if he had taken it. When I left the shop, the fruit from Ayutthaya was gone from my bag. I had carried it for 2 weeks, uneaten, wrapped in the market plastic. It had been in the bag when I went in. It was not in the bag when I came out. I turned the whole bag out on the shop floor. The ajarn stood in the doorway and watched me. He did not look surprised. I did not ask. I left Chiang Mai the same day. I took the first bus that was leaving, then another. The road climbed into the mountains. I got off at the last stop because it was the end of the line. The town had 1 street, 1 market, 1 temple. One night, I took a room on the top floor of the only guest house because it was the cheapest. The window would not close fully. There was a door at the end of the hall that opened onto the roof. The roof was flat, with a low railing. The street was 3 floors below. I wore the long-sleeve shirt in the heat. I ate at the same noodle shop every day and sat where no one could see the sleeve right up. I walked the town twice a day, up the hill road past the temple and back. I did not go into the temple. I did not want a monk to look at me. My sister sent messages. "Are you all right? Where are you?" I read them and did not reply. I could not think of a true answer. I turned the phone off at night and on again in the morning. The messages were still there. At night, the single street light stayed on. I watched it from the window. It meant nothing, and I could not stop watching it. On the 4th day, the line reached the edge of the design. On the 5th, it grew past the design, up toward my shoulder. I stopped rolling the sleeve up even in the mirror. I counted the days on the thread. I slept with the light on. The stairs creaked at night. The building was old. I told myself the stairs were old. That was the last time I used that on myself. On the 6th day, the mark at the bottom got a twin, 2 small curls now. Under the skin, the 5 lines were no longer 5. There were 6, I counted them twice. 6 lines on my arm, and I had only paid for 5. That night, I found myself at the window looking out at the empty street and did not remember walking there. On the 7th night, I woke standing at the roof railing with my hands on it. The street was 3 floors down. The night air was cold. I did not remember getting out of bed. I did not remember the hall or the door. I was calm. That was the worst part. I was standing at a railing with the street below me and I was calm, and I could have let go. I knew it. The calm did not break. The mark on my arm was burning. I went back through the door and down the stairs and sat on the bed with the light on until the sun came up. In the morning, the line had reached my shoulder. The 6th line was still there. I booked the flight out of Thailand that afternoon. The flight was the 9th day. I counted the hours to it. 1 full day and 2 nights. I spent them in the room with the light on. I did not go near the door that opened onto the roof. I packed the bag 3 times. Each time I unpacked it and packed it again. I do not know why that mattered. The morning of the 9th day, I took a Songthieu to the airport. The woman at the airline counter looked at my passport, then at my wrist where the thread showed beneath my sleeve. There was a pause. She did not speak about it. She told me the flight was delayed by 1 day because of a mechanical problem. The airline booked me a room at the airport hotel. The only seat left was the morning flight on the 10th day. My problem had just doubled. I sat on the hotel bed and watched the clock. 23:58, 23:59. Midnight. The 9th day ended. Nothing happened. The thread stayed on my wrist. I told myself that was the end of it. I almost believed it. I must have slept. Because the next thing I knew, I was standing in the corridor outside my door, barefoot. The emergency lights were on, low and red. My hand was already on the handle of the stairwell door at the end of the hall. I did not remember leaving the bed. I did not remember unlocking my own door. My heart was not racing. The calm was the same as the night on the roof, when I had stood at the railing and known I could let go. I pulled my hand back from the handle as if it had burned me. Behind me, very softly, something moved. Not footsteps, a wet sound. The sound a mop makes when it is lifted and set down again. Slow, deliberate, coming from the direction of the elevators. I turned. The corridor was empty. The wet sound came again, closer, as if whatever was making it did not need to be seen to keep advancing. I backed toward my door. The key card was still inside the room. The door had closed and locked. I stood in the red light with my back against the door and the thread on my wrist. And for the first time in 9 days, I was genuinely afraid that something was going to reach me before I could get back inside. The sound stopped directly in front of me. There was a long pause then. From the empty air about a meter away, I heard the soft, precise sound of a mop being wrung out. Water hit the carpet in a small dark patch. I got the door open on the 3rd try. I did not look back until the safety latch was on. The corridor was empty again. The wet patch on the carpet was still there. In the morning it was gone, and a cleaner's cart stood neatly at the end of the hall, as if it had been there all night. At security, the bag went through the scanner and the officer called me back. He opened it and went through it carefully. At the bottom, under everything, he took out the fruit. It was wrapped in brown paper. The market plastic was gone. It was fresh bought. That morning fresh, the skin tight, the stem still green. I had carried that fruit for 2 weeks. This fruit was not 2 weeks old. The officer held it up. He looked at it. Then he looked at me. I could not read his face. He put the fruit back in the bag, closed it, and waved me through. He did not ask about it. He did not confiscate it. Fruit is not supposed to cross borders. I do not know why he let it through, and I do not want to know. I stood on the other side of security with the fresh fruit in the bag and filed it under later. There was a plane to catch. I walked toward the gate. My hand went to my wrist. The thread was still tight. At the gate, the knot came loose on its own. Not undone, loose. The thread went slack around my wrist the way it goes slack when the tie has been pulled. I sat very still and looked at it. The 9 days had ended at midnight. Hours ago. The thread had held past midnight. It was coming loose now, an hour before I was supposed to leave the ground. They called my name over the PA. My boarding pass had a problem. I stood in line at the counter. She was mopping the floor near the gate, slow strokes back and forth, the mop barely moving, the bucket wheeled beside her on silent wheels. She wore the pale blue uniform of the airport cleaners. Her hair was gray and pulled back, and I knew her. She was the woman from the tattoo shop, the old woman who had sat on the stool and watched me take the needle and who had not been there the second time I went back. She looked at me, directly. Then she looked down at my wrist. I pulled the thread off. I have gone back and forth on whether that counts as breaking the rule. The ajarn said 9 days. Do not take it off. It was day 10 by the calendar, and the thread was coming loose on its own. I know what I did. I pulled it over my hand and walked across the gate area. The floor was wet from her mop. No one in the whole gate area looked at the man walking over to the old woman with the cleaning cart. I put the thread in her hand. Her hand was open, waiting, the way a hand is open when it is expecting something. It was already open before mine got there. She did not look surprised. That is the part I keep coming back to. She did not look surprised at all. She closed her hand over the thread. She did not say anything. She turned back to the mop. She did not look at me again. I went back to the counter. The girl looked up and said it was a system error. A duplicate entry. It happened all the time. My boarding pass was fine. It took 2 minutes. I boarded. The fruit is gone from the bag. Not hidden. Gone. The compartment is empty and the lining at the bottom is damp. Not wet. Damp. And the damp is fresh. The way a surface is damp when something has been lifted off it recently. I have felt it with my fingers. It is not water from anything I packed. There is nothing in the bag that could have made it damp. The mark on my wrist is still there, a shade paler than the skin around it, like a place that never saw the sun. It is not warm and it is not cold. When I press my thumb against it, the skin feels ordinary. When I take the thumb away, the ordinary feeling lasts only a second. Then something else settles back in, not warmth exactly, not cold. A pressure, very light, as if the place is still being counted. I do not know if the 9 days are over. I do not know if what was counting has finished, changed hands, or changed the way it keeps the tally. The plane is still in the air. The mark is still on my wrist. I am writing this so there will be a record that it was there and that it was still paying attention.